another look at tonight's winning numbers. We'll see you back here on Wednesday night.
From the station that's on your side, this is News 12, NBC 26 at 11.
Although some of the performances had to press pause for the threat of bad weather tonight, the Juneteenth celebrations continued in downtown Augusta. We'll take you to the festival with umbrellas on hand.
And it looks like those cloudy skies may be here to stay this week.
Into the 70s. Much more in that forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Anthony, thanks. New at 11, fire crews responding to a house fire on Dunbar Street in Warrenville tonight. Crews got the call through the street around 10:20 this evening, and the ones on the scene say there are no injuries and no other homes in danger there with that house fire. It is a wrap. The Downtown Augusta Juneteenth Festival just wrapping up a few hours ago. Today marks the time enslaved people in Texas learned they were free months after the Emancipation Proclamation.
And here in Augusta, the city celebrated the holiday with a festival that doubled the number of vendors from last year's festival. Our Nick Veland live in downtown tonight as those organizers are cleaning everything up. So, Nick, did the rain or the threat of rain scare anyone away out there?
Well, no, there was a lot of people all throughout the Augusta Common area and into Broad Street all throughout today, and everything was packed up around 9 p.m. But before that, the people say that the memories that they had today will stick with them for quite some time.
You hear music. This music, it talks about unity. The smell, you smell the seasons of food, home.
The different foods. We like to try out different stuff. Some of these vendors I've never heard of.
The atmosphere is just joyous right now.
This is a very great festival. Everybody's enjoying themselves. It's very nice.
It's a great vibe.
The celebration continuing to grow with the number of vendors doubling from the last year.
We come together this time of year to just be grateful and be thankful that God has allowed us now to have a voice, to have access to the world.
A celebration across generations.
It's good to be able to teach them, for them to start learning something different, something new. They didn't know very much about Juneteenth before this, actually. So I've been trying to explain a little bit to them, but we're excited about learning.
The weather canceled the live performances, but not the day.
This rain, it comes and goes, but it feels good. I mean, it's not too hot. The rain is keeping it cool, but, you know, it's here. But sometimes when you're enjoying yourself, you don't even notice the rain, man.
And the Bennett brothers say that they are looking to reschedule those live opportunities from today, and we'll keep you updated on when those dates are.
Nick Veland, after a busy day in downtown Augusta. Nick, thank you for that. As for Aiken County, the Center for African American History, Arts and Culture opened its doors for tours to celebrate in Aiken today. And tomorrow, that center will host a paint and sip at 6 p.m. Those tickets are $45 a piece for supplies and for wine. You can check our website to see the other Juneteenth activities going all week long in Aiken. We have an update this evening from SLED about an officer-involved shooting in McCormick County over the weekend.
This is the first one for the sheriff's office this year. SLED says deputies responded to a 911 call about a suspicious person around 7:40 in the morning. Agents say 20-year-old Obed Barba shot at one of their deputies, and the deputy fired back. Barba died at the scene from his injuries. The deputy went to the hospital, but SLED says he should make a full recovery.
Lincoln County deputies searching for a couple of suspects connected to a Father's Day shooting. 21-year-old Tavius Brown and 29-year-old Antravius Brown are wanted for aggravated assault, the possession of a gun, and more. Deputies got the call around 8:50 last night for a shots at a home on Fire Tower Road. They found a victim with one gunshot wound. Both are stable. Deputies believe both Browns drove away in a gray Ford, and they say if you've seen them, call the sheriff's office.
Richmond County deputies say 3 people are injured after a shooting off of Wheeler Road this morning. They say it happened right outside the Toasties restaurant around 11 o'clock. That's not too far from Surrey Center. Deputies say a passenger in a silver sedan got into a fight with 2 other people there in the parking lot. They started shooting at each other. Deputies say 2 people were shot at least once. They ran off to Hazel Street. They later found a passenger of the sedan had taken themselves to the hospital for gunshot wounds too. We're still working to find out about any arrests.
Presidential candidate and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley held North Augusta Thursday for a rally at Riverview Park.
New details in the death of a gay teen thought to be murdered in South Carolina. Officials ruled 19-year-old Stephen Smith died from a hit and run back in 2015. SLED announced in March they would reopen that case as a homicide when they found out more information during the Maggie and Paul Murdaugh murders. SLED received the results of the second autopsy this week. Attorney Eric Bland says he makes a call twice a week with the agency's chief. He just heard agents also have 5 or 6 more people with relevant information surrounding Smith's death.
Sandy Smith is not looking for somebody to be charged with Stephen's murder. She's just a mother who wants to know what happened to her son. And I think she's going to get answers.
So then also note, Smith and Alec Murdaugh's son Buster used to be classmates, but agents haven't revealed the specific connection between them yet.
The family of a sexual assault victim who died by suicide is no longer keeping quiet about her case. Dallas Stoner was one of Bowen Turner's alleged victims. The Orangeburg County man is accused of raping 3 teenagers in 2018 and 2019. Court documents show he violated house arrest more than 50 times to go to golf courses, restaurants, and across state lines as well. Stoner died by suicide in 2021 after her family says she was bullied following the assault. They say prosecutors dropped the case because she was not alive to testify. Then they went silent. They say the solicitor's office told them they would only reopen the investigation if the family got rid of all the attention and all the pressure. So now they feel like they've been quiet too long.
I have this gun to my head that's like, if you don't do this, you know, there's no possible chance whatsoever. And it's been a real struggle for me and my family, and I think everybody, to kind of just sit back and be quiet and let this happen, and really putting your hope and trust in a system that has done nothing but prove that they don't deserve the trust.
Dallas and the other victim stories caused outrage both regionally and nationally, and her family believes they should have never stayed quiet.
Some South Carolina lawmakers are calling a recent federal court ruling a victory for free speech. As State House reporter Mary Green explains, others fear it could have grave consequences on how much dark money can flow into elections.
This ruling stems from a lawsuit brought earlier this year by the ultra-conservative South Carolina Freedom Caucus. It could have major implications for what goes on here at the State House and in South Carolina elections for years to come.
The ability for dark money to come pouring into this state has now been blasted wide open.
Under state law, there are 4 legislative caucuses, or groups of lawmakers. These caucuses have certain privileges, like campaigning and fundraising as a group, but they still have to comply with strict rules, like disclosing who's a member and who's donating to them. There are more than a dozen other groups at the State House known as special interest caucuses, including the South Carolina Freedom Caucus. These are just some examples. While these groups of lawmakers can meet and vote together, they were barred from any activity as a group that would influence the outcome of an election or ballot measure, like fundraising and campaigning. Lawmakers who violated that part of state ethics law could face prison time or a fine. Earlier this year, the South Carolina Freedom Caucus sued in federal court, alleging this law violates their constitutional rights to free speech and equal protection. A federal judge recently ruled in the Freedom Caucus's favor and permanently blocked the enforcement of this part of South Carolina ethics law.
We did not ask to be treated any differently. We simply asked to be put on the same footing, and that's exactly what this judge did.
The lawsuit was filed against the House Ethics Committee, the group responsible for enforcing the ethics law. The committee held a meeting Monday to get an overview of the ruling from its lawyer, who says the implications are unclear at this point. But some members say while the judge intended for the special interest caucuses to be allowed the same privileges and operate under the same rules as the 4 legislative caucuses, only the General Assembly can rewrite the law to enforce this. The legislature is out of session right now, so ethics committee members argue that until they're back in session and can change the law, this means the Freedom Caucus or any other special interest caucus a lawmaker wants to form doesn't have to follow these ethics rules.
What is clear is that this does blow a hole, as was previously stated, in the law of South Carolina as it relates to dark money and money coming in. When 2 members of the General Assembly can get together and take cash donations in unlimited amounts and spend that in any way they see fit,
that's a problem that anyone should see.
The House Ethics Committee has about a month to decide what it will do next, with options including appealing to a higher federal court. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
The Freedom Caucus says it's already started the process of setting up bank accounts with these new fundraising and campaigning abilities.
Well, as you're heading out the door, this.
I know our communities aren't perfect, but reporting on problems is just half the story. It takes commitment and compassion for all of us to come together and work towards finding a solution. That's the part of my job at News 12 I love the most, when we can identify a problem, but then work together to find out how to fix it. We all want our kids to have a good education, access to health care, safe neighborhoods, so we can all grow together. Our communities are so diverse, but we all have that one thing in common. This is where we call home.
Of course, from the station that's on your side, this is News 12, NBC 26 at 11.
A Columbia County deputy and a marshal both recovering tonight after being hit by a car. We'll tell you about the call they answered that sent them to the hospital.
Plus, the South getting hit with severe weather, from record-breaking heat in Texas to deadly tornadoes in parts of Mississippi.
And here at home, we've been seeing some heavy rain and some flash flooding as well. This is North Leg Road in Richmond County, where part of a hill supporting a parking lot washed away there, sending water and mud right down into the street.
And it was a light show in the sky over Grovetown. If you stepped outside tonight, a lot of you saw that lightning, heard the thunder this evening as it roared really for much of the metro.
And we had a great view of those storms from our Beach Island camera, our tallest viewpoint, 750 feet up in the sky. This is a time lapse of the storms just rolling in. You can see the cloud cover building up here until the rain really totally blankets the scene there. And we're still tracking those storms tonight on the First Alert Radar Network.
So what are you seeing out there, Anthony? Definitely
For some minor flooding in those usual trouble spots. We'll take you outside over Beach Island. The live view right now, we still have some flashes of lightning there in the distance, and temperatures have stayed into the upper 60s and the lower 70s. Trying to hold on to this camera as long as we can to see a little bit of lightning there. We'll try another check of the camera coming up in just a few minutes. More on those storms in about 10 minutes. There's a good shot there.
all right on time. Tonight, a Columbia County deputy and marshal are recovering after being hit by a car.
All this happened this afternoon at the Circle K on Furie's Ferry Road at Evans to Locks Road.
It all started when officers answered a call to the convenience store for a woman who appeared drunk, saying she was dying, taking off her clothes, acting very erratically. Nick Veland in the newsroom for us. So, Nick, how did the officers get hit?
Well, Laura, it's a long story short. This woman eventually got behind the wheel, and two officers ended up in the hospital. An employee called 911 after she says a woman was crawling under the shelves, dancing, and appeared drunk. When deputies got there, they called EMS for backup. They say she asked to go to her car, then ran to her car and put it in gear. Columbia County Deputy Christopher Robertson and County Marshal David Willis tried to stop her. Robertson got knocked down when she tried to back the car out of her parking spot in front of the store. Willis tried to stop her when she put the car in drive, and the car went over the curb, pinning him between the car and the door. The report says that she finally put the car in park, giving deputies the chance to arrest her. EMS took both officers to the hospital, but they should be okay. And the suspect is in jail, charged with aggravated assault and obstruction. Bond has been set for $100,400, and we'll let you know as soon as we get an update on those officers.
Wishing them a speedy recovery. Really lucky that woman didn't get on the road and kill someone.
Yeah, it could have been much worse for them.
6 Fulton County deputies indicted for the death of an inmate, then cleared, could still face murder charges for his death. Prosecutors say the jailer's pepper sprayed, used a stun gun, and illegally restrained Antonio May as he was having a mental health episode. He later collapsed and died. Their charges were dropped during the trial, arguing the deputies were not given any notice of their indictments. But now the family's attorney is hoping for more accountability.
When someone does something that violates someone's right, their constitutional rights, their human rights, they should be held accountable. This is simply about accountability.
The family attorney says Antonio was in jail on a trespassing charge, but he never had the chance to face accountability for that. The jailers went too far, they say. Senator Lindsey Graham in Mount Pleasant sharing
government officials over federal programs. Back in 2018, Governor McMaster declared abortion providers unqualified to provide family planning services. This case centers around whether the state's move violates Medicaid recipients' rights to choose their own health care providers.
Former Augusta Commissioner Sammy Sias sentenced today after being convicted of destroying records in a federal investigation. A judge sentenced Sias to 3 years, and he will report to prison in 52 days. Sias is also ordered to pay a $5,000 fine, and he'll serve 3 years of supervised release after his prison term.
And we have a few updates out of Augusta's commission meeting today, from addressing the infamous Olive Road Bridge to honoring a couple of former city leaders.
City Government reporter Craig Allison has the commission latest.
A new warning system is soon to join these flashing lights and speed bumps in front of the Olive Road Bridge. Augusta commissioners approved moving forward on a new GPS notification system to warn drivers heading towards the bridge. Rail company CSX agrees it's up to drivers to pay attention.
I think that people should use common sense when going under the Olive Road Bridge. If you're local, you know that if your vehicle is too large, you will hit the bridge. That's not news to anyone who lives here.
2 facilities are also beginning to move forward on being renamed. A baseball field inside Diamond Lakes Regional Parks for Lake Commissioner Andy Cheeks, and the utilities building for Tom Weidemeyer. Commissioners expressing their frustration today over the 2-year delay for getting that ball rolling on renaming it.
It still doesn't make sense. If this body had 6 votes to approve it over 2 years ago, an applicant at any time can basically withdraw their request even though this body approved to move forward.
The body approved for the process to begin, which
and it should have started before this guy had the ability, I guess, to pull it back. And why did it not start for 2 years?
One delay is funding for Augusta's own government spot in the JA Discovery Center, a building that will serve to teach students all over the area about finances and their real-world applications. Leaders plan to visit an example site in Savannah this weekend before potentially approving a $50,000 5-year agreement.
It provides some teaching and some learnings that I think will benefit not only the school system, but benefit our kids.
In Augusta, Craig Allison, on your side.
Commissioners were also planning to talk about hiring someone for that city administrator position that's still using an interim, but they pushed that ahead to the next commission meeting.
They're hoping to provide more clarity on those job qualifications and salary after a workshop last week. The Waynesboro Police Department responding to news of their deputy status being removed by Burke County Sheriff Alfonso Williams. Sheriff Williams rescinded the deputy status of all the officers in the Waynesboro Police Department except for their police chief. In a letter sent to Police Chief Willie Burley Friday night, the sheriff says the city police officers lost his trust. And today, Chief Burley released his own statement. Reading here, I want each of you to know I have 100% faith in the integrity and work ethic of each of my team members. Our number one priority is the professional service and safety of the citizen and visitors of the city of Waynesboro. He also says the police department will continue to work with the sheriff's office and other law enforcement agencies.
A man from Myrtle Beach, featured in the Netflix series Tiger King, has been convicted on charges he faced up in Virginia. Investigators say Doc Annell illegally bought lion cubs in Frederick County. The jury later found him guilty of 2 counts of wildlife trafficking and 2 counts of conspiring to wildlife traffic. Sentencing for him is scheduled for September 14th.
The Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office asking for help finding this woman. Vinike-Jones was last seen by family members back in May in her silver Toyota. Investigators say while Jones usually returns home after a period of time, she hasn't been seen since. So if you see Jones or know where she might be, call the Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office. New at 11, last year, Lincoln County voters stopped the Board of
Time to play America's favorite jackpot game. This is Powerball. Good evening, America. I'm Laura Johnson. Tonight we have another life-changing jackpot for you. It's worth an estimated $400.6 million. So get those tickets out. Let's play. That first number up is 5. Followed by the number 33. Tonight we're going to meet Francisco Nunez, who won $150,000 playing Powerball. Congratulations, Francisco. Now for the rest of those numbers, we've got 35, 11, rounding it out with 63. Your Powerball number tonight, good luck everyone, is 14, and your Power Play multiplier is 2. Let's take a look at those numbers one last time. Remember, there are multiple ways to win. We'll see you back here Saturday night. Good night, everyone.
From the station that's on your side, this is News 12, NBC 26 at 11.
The search is on tonight for those 5 people in that, such as aircraft and small vessels, but it's a search and rescue effort. Everybody, the whole world is watching.
Also tonight, the gap in 24-hour emergency animal care in our area is getting noticed by pet lovers. Last week, we told you Augusta only has one 24-hour emergency animal clinic, the Blue Pearl Pet Hospital. But it's only open for 24 hours on certain days, and people on social media have been sharing their frustrations. One person comments, local vets need to step up and take turns being duty doctors. So many pets have died or been turned away from the long trip to Athens. Another person mentions how this is not just an Augusta issue, but there is a vet shortage in the entire country. And now pet parents are looking for some solutions. Our Sydney Hood live from our newsroom tonight. Sydney, is there a simple solution for the gap when it comes to this? This is a private issue, a private business's decision.
Laura, there is no simple fix here, but there are community members willing to work with our local vets to figure out a starting point at least. But for right now, it's just a matter of making do with what we have while having a little patience.
They are called the shake and bake pups.
It takes a minute
Come here, come here, come here.
to get the entire group
Why don't you two come over here?
to sit.
Sit, stay.
At the front are Roxy and Connor. Both are lucky pups.
And we're very fortunate when Connor had his seizure incidents on May 31st, we were blessed they are open because we don't know if he would have made it to Columbia.
Thanks to Blue Pearl, Kenny Sugars is able to sit in the driveway with his senior pups.
They've saved 2 of our dogs and we're forever thankful.
But he schedules his outdoor activities based on when the hospital is open after hours.
We look at their schedule because if it's after hours on the weekends, we might not go trail hiking an event that one of them gets bit and they can't get antivenom.
The gap in 24/7 emergency care leaves pet owners in a pinch.
And we have great medical facilities for humans, and we have great for our pets, but there's a huge shortage in vets, veterinarians, and vet technicians.
Hey, got the boy. It's not a simple fix. It's not something that we can just fix poof overnight.
Working with rescues and a pet owner herself, Becky McArdle gets it.
I understand how they feel. I know.
She spends her days with Cooper and Daisy, but there is one piece of her heart missing.
Bruno, my dog, passed away last year, and he didn't have any. He was at the regular vet, and he was sick. He ended up passing away, but this was on a Saturday afternoon. That was my heart dog. That dog changed my life.
Now she wants to save others from that pain.
I just encourage people to have a plan, me personally, like I do. If my dogs get sick,
a plan can go one of several ways.
During the week, I call my regular vet. That's my first defense.
She has a second, third, fourth, and even fifth defense ready. But the main thing to keep in mind is,
as pet owners, be proactive with your pets.
And again, something else to keep in mind here is that this is not just a problem in our area. The pinch is felt nationwide. The issues range from staffing to money to name a couple. But the main thing here at home is our vets care about your animals and want to help, and they see the need for 24/7 care as well.
All right, trying to run a business as well, so definitely a tough issue with that vet shortage. Thanks, Sydney.
Tonight, 3 murder suspects in 2 separate killings are behind bars at the Webster Detention Center. And here's a look. The suspects were arrested in connection to a shooting that killed a 15-year-old at the Get and Go convenience store on Windsor Spring Road earlier this month. And the shooting death of a 24-year-old on St. Andrews Drive and Perimeter Drive, that was back in April. Sunday, deputies say they located a stolen 2019 Jaguar on the flock camera system that they use. When deputies tried to catch up with that car to make a felony stop, the driver sped away. The pursuit ended with the car hitting a tree. Vincent Moultrie, Ike Lane, and Kenneth Maurice Williams all facing charges now of murder, aggravated assaults, and more.
Tonight, a Columbia County Marshal and deputy are back home after being released from the hospital. Marshal David Willis and Deputy Christopher Robertson were released yesterday after being hit by a car at the Circle K on Furious Ferry Road near Evans to Locks Road. The two responded to the store after reports of a woman under the influence dancing around the store, crawling under shelves, acting erratically. Authorities say emergency medical crews came to the scene to take the woman in for a mental evaluation, and that's when she ran to her car trying to leave. Deputies say as Willis and Robertson tried to stop her, she hit them both with her car before finally stopping. She's now facing 2 counts of aggravated assault and 2 counts of willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. A judge sentenced the woman today who killed her husband and buried his body in their yard. He sentenced Sandra Dales to 20 years in prison for voluntary manslaughter and for concealing that death. News 12 caught up with Wrdw's family today, who all agree they are just ready to move on.
When you get down, you stand back up, you brush it off, you pick yourself up by the bootstraps, and you move forward. You seize the day. You take every bad thing in your life and you turn it into a positive, and then it can't be used to hurt you.
By the time Dale gets out of prison, she will be 78 years old.
U.S. senators want to question PGA officials and students how his effort could include putting more therapists in schools.
Did you get that record? I don't think so. Because something you probably need to have is gotta get that. Yeah, I think so.
Hey, y'all know what a weatherman's favorite reptile is?
What?
A blizzard. What is he doing?
Dad jokes.
There's a 100% chance of baby showers because Riley's heading off to be a dad. Congratulations, Riley. We'll see you when you get back.
It's a push to improve the mental health of students. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill want to provide more access to mental health professionals to help deal with everyday stress students can experience in school.
Peter Zampa speaking with the senator leading the effort and a student welcoming the attention.
You're trying to understand and process so much about yourself and about where you come from.
It's a mental health journey, according to Jalen Smith. The Valdosta State University student says his journey began a year ago. That's when he became aware of his struggles. He says growing up in a community where prayer and family were meant to fix all, a stigma came with seeking professional help.
I didn't have that help or that understanding, and I didn't find true mental health support until I came to college.
Shakidra Harris is a mental health counselor. Between the pandemic, internet exposure, and gun violence, Harris notices increased mental health problems beginning earlier for kids.
Our children need access to trained mental health professionals because, like our emotions are real, theirs are too.
Georgia Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock reintroduced legislation called the Assist Act that would help schools increase the number of mental health and substance use disorder professionals on campus, paid for under Medicaid.
Children are dealing with a whole range of pressures that my generation didn't know, quite frankly. And we've got to provide the resources to meet this moment.
So the bill is sitting in the Senate Finance Committee waiting approval before it heads to the Senate floor for a vote, and we will keep you posted.
Much more news ahead right now.